Hello guys, it's Sip and Beton, and today we will be talking about color yellow. So Cunning from the upcoming Shadow of Galaxy set. This tier list is strictly for limited formats, so draft and sealed, and we will be going from the bottom to the top. So we will be starting from the weakest card and ending up on the strongest card. And on the first chopping block, we have the New Adventure. It's a double Cunning for 2 mana. Return a non-leader unit that costs 6 or less to its owner's hand. Then its owner may play it for free. So, Sip, can you tell us why you should never pick it in limited format?
Well, I feel like the reason is pretty obvious. Like, it's a double aspect card, and those are basically never good in drafts and seals. It's similar concept to the Bo-Katan from the last video. Like, you're always just better off playing a second color than playing those double aspect colors, double aspect cards in your deck. And the effect is really it's just not worth paying for it.
Yeah, even if you manage to get the mono Cunning deck, there is not that much cards that really benefit from it. So it's a constructed card that require a lot of synergies. So we can go to the next card, I think.
Yep.
So the next card is Look the Other Way. It's a trick. For 0 mana, you can exhaust the enemy unit unless its controllers pay 2. And because there is a way for your opponent to pay 2 to basically negate the effect of the card, it's too unpredictable. Too rarely you will be able to use this effect. And exhausting a unit is not the strongest effect in the game. It may have a huge implications, but in most cases it will just be 0 mana, protect your base from few damage, unless your opponents will pay the 2, and then it will be 2 mana, do nothing. So for that reason you shouldn't pick it, because it's too unreliable to be played in most situations. Okay, so we will going for the next card, and the next card is from the D tier. So we are moving up a tier, and it's Wanted. It's a 0 mana bounty, and the bounty that it gives, it's ready to friendly resources.
So basically, like, at the first glance, you might think that this card should belong in C tier, so weak unless a specific leader, and that leader would be Bosk. But to be honest, I don't even like this card in Bosk, and the main reason for that is if you play it in the first round on the enemy unit, you're also likely to play another unit and then probably also use Bosk's ability, and because of all of those things, you're gonna likely lose the initiative, and then the opponent can just kill their own unit by trading with your own unit. So this card is not particularly great as a first round play, and then later on it's just kind of clunky, because the same concept applies. If the opponent has the initiative, they can just kill their own unit, and you don't really get any benefit out of those ready to friend their resources, because they are already at the start of the round.
Yeah, I completely agree. The only reason it's on the D tier, not in the Z tier, is because if you don't have enough bounties for Bosk, you may need to play it. But if you have any other bounties, I would advise to play those. And next we have Frontier Trader. It's a 3 mana 2/2 Java. That when he enters play, you may return a resource you control to its owner's hand. If you do, you may put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. So it's basically a 3 mana draw a card, and the card that you draw is from your resources. And card draw in Star Wars Unlimited is not as powerful as in other card games, so losing on 3 or 4 stats by playing him may be just enough for you to lose the race or lose the ground battle. So just for that, it's not enough benefit to be playing a minion that is just a 2/2 for 3 mana.
It's the type of card that you mainly want to play in the larger stages of the game, and it's kind of hard to keep this card in your hand. So yeah, that's why it's in the D tier.
Yeah, and even in the later parts of the game, it's not a really defining card because the big thing you gain it's 4 stats for 3 mana on the board, and you're not wasting a card, and it's not enough to be good. It may be a filler, but that's it. And next we have Criminal Muscle, 1 mana 2/1 Underworld. When play, you may return a non-unique upgrade to its owner's hand.
So this one, the main problem with this one is that it costs 1, and there are not that many leaders that have an ability that costs resource. So you don't really want to play this card on the first round, since there are a lot of 2/3 for 2 cards in this set. So he is likely to trade down with those units, and the one played ability is also not that great because returning an upgrade to its owner's hand will destroy experience and shield tokens, and that's cool, but it's oftentimes not enough of a value to make this card worth being in the deck.
Yeah. I will only add that this card is decent in Cat Bane because it's Underworld and it's a cheap card to trigger his ability. And if you have few upgrades on your own, it may be also good to just switch it around in the later stages of the game. But it's a card that you don't really want to play unless you have something, unless you don't have something better. So that's why it's so low on the tier list. And it will be a similar thing with our next card. It's for 2 mana, Privateer Stick. It's a 2/2 space unit that if you control another cunning unit, this unit gains shield. So we placed really low because the ability is too unreliable to be considered in the evaluation of the card. So if it would be a 2 mana 2/2 shielded ship, it would be okay. It would be even a good card, but because
it would be really good.
Yeah, but because you too often will not have the yellow the cunning unit on board, and because it's a 2-drop, you really want to play your 2-drops on the first turn, and you shouldn't play him on the first turn because there is no other cunning unit, and for that reason he will remain in the D tier. Even though it's not a terrible card, it's just there are so many better cards in the set that you should just play those if you can.
Yep.
And next we are.
Yeah, the one thing also with this ship is that playing it on the first round is sometimes okay because there are non 2/3 for 2 ships that opponent can play on their first round. So he is unlikely to die easily, to be traded easily at the early stages of the game. But yeah, it's still nothing amazing.
And now we are moving up to the C tier. So cards that are okay, and they are stronger than okay in a specific leader. And first of them is Bounty Posting. It's a 1 mana event. Search your deck for a bounty, reveal it and draw it, and you may play that upgrade paying its mana cost.
Yeah, so this one is pretty good in Bosk mainly. So you can find something like Rich Reward, which is a really strong card in Bosk, since when Bosk deploys, he allows you to collect 1 bounty twice. So this basically allows you to find it easily. And besides that, it's just an okay card to find more bounties. So you have you can use Bosk's ability each round. That's it in terms of this card.
If you have enough bounties and there is plenty of bounties in the set, it will be a decent card in Bosk, and I don't think you should run it in any other deck. And it will be a similar case with the next card. It's a 1 mana enticing reward. It's also a bounty, and it will allow you to search the top 10 cards of your deck for 2 non-unit cards, reveal them and draw them. And if your enemy was a unique, then you don't need to discard one of them. Or even not one of them, but one card from your hand. So it's basically draw 2 non-unit cards from your deck, and then discard a card unless the enemy you killed was unique. So it will allow to search for like your removal or the cards that are really important, but it's a big investment to do it. So unless you can benefit from having a bounty, you shouldn't play it. So it's a card that will mostly be played in Bosk, because not only he will benefit from having the bounty, he will also benefit from searching more bounties from his deck. So we can, and I don't think there is anything more to say about this card, so we will go to the next one, and it's Relentless Pursuit. It's choose a friendly unit, it captures a non-enemy unit that costs the same or less than it. If the friendly unit is a bounty hunter, give it a shield token.
Yep. So this one, the card allows you to capture an enemy unit. It's kind of restrictive because it has to be a unit that costs the same or less. But the main way in which you want to use this card in terms of decks is decks that have a lot of bounty hunters, and mainly your leader. If your leader is a bounty hunter, this card becomes really good. So Cat Bane and Bosk are both bounty hunters. Also, capturing enemy unit allows you to collect the bounty, so that makes that gives some good synergies with Bosk. And yeah, that's basically it in terms of this card.
Yeah. I would only add that if you have Cat Bane or Bosk, this card is definitely, and I think even an S tier card. But in any other leader, and if you don't have bounty hunters, it's just a weaker version of a capture card. And too often it was unreliable to put higher than a C tier. Okay, now we are going for the B tier. So those cards will be a decent addition to every single deck that run Cunning. And first we have Smuggler's Starfighter. It's a 3 mana ship, so a space unit that's a 2/2. But if you control another underworld unit, you can give an enemy unit -3 attack for this phase, and it has a smuggle for 4 mana. Okay, so why a more expensive ship with the same stats and also an ability that requires you to have another unit is so much better than the previous ship? And it's mostly because of the smuggle ability. Because you can put it in the resource in the early game, and the fact that for the rest of the game you have the ability to pay 4 and give something -3 may be a huge deal, because then you can trade for free. And on the other hand, because it's a 3 mana unit, you can play something on turn 1. Your opponent will play something. Then on turn 2 you can play him. You can minus the unit that your opponent play, and you can trade. So those factors gives it much more those factors give it much more consistency than the other one. Also, there is a lot of underworld units and a lot of early game underworld units. So these may find home in many decks. But I will only add the thing that you shouldn't run too many of him, because it's still a 3 mana 2/2 spaceship.
Yeah, and also you have to make sure that you have enough of underworld units, and it's also really good in Cat Bane because he gets synergies with those units.
Yeah. And next we have Resourceful Pursuers. 5 mana, 5/6 bounty hunter that have Saboteur.
Yeah. So this one is pretty straightforward. Like these guys have just a decent stat line: 5 attacks, 6 HP for 5 resources is a okay stat line for limited. And Saboteur is also a pretty good keyword. There are quite a few shield tokens in this set, so they can just kill some units that otherwise would be safe with those shield tokens. And yeah, it's just a decent 5-drop.
Yeah, it's also a bounty hunter, so it has few additional benefits from this, but it's mainly because of the stats. It just has a really good stat line for 5, so you should fill your mana curve with few of those. And next we have a Cloud Rider. It's 2 mana, 3/1 underworld unit that has ambush. So I don't think we need to explain much why this is a really good card, because it's a 2 mana, deal 3 damage in the ground. That you can also play as a unit that has 3/1 before on turn 1. So even on turn 1, it's not a terrible play. And later in the game, the ability to trade or finish a unit for 2 mana is a really big benefit. So running few of them will make your deck extremely consistent, and consistency is something that you really want to have in your draft or sealed deck.
Also, they synergized quite well with Boba Leader and Bosk, not Bosk, Cat Bane, because
because with Boba he gains an additional attack from the ability, so he may trade with almost every single 3-drop, except the few that are really amazing. But
and Cat Bane forced your opponent to think.
Yeah. So next we have a 2 mana Fugitive Wookiee. It's a 2 mana 3/3 Wookiee that has a bounty exhaust a unit.
Okay. Yeah, so the reason why this card is pretty high on the list is because the stat line, like being a 3/3 for 2 is just really good stat line. And since there are quite a few of units that have 2/3 stat line, it's likely to trade up in early stages of the game. And the downside of bounty, so the opponent gets to exhaust one of your units, is sometimes annoying, but yeah, it's not that big of a deal considering the fact that he can set up some good trades in early stages of the game.
Yeah. I will only add, if he wouldn't have the bounty, he would be an S tier card, like Battlefield Marine was in set 1. But the bounty is annoying enough and gives enough benefit from your opponent that that it may be a downside in the game. So we can't really put him higher than the B tier.
Yeah, the exhaust the exhaust from bounty, it becomes more relevant in later stages of the game. So just keep in mind that whenever you want to play him later, just remember that opponent can kill him and exhaust one of your more expensive, more threatening units.
Yeah. I also add, if he would have a bounty do nothing, it would still be a downside as a card.
Oh yeah, because of balls and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, and now we are going for an A tier, and we have only one card there, and it's McClunky. It's a 1 mana underworld trick. Return a friendly non-leader underworld unit to its owner's hand. If you do, deal 3 damage to that unit, to a unit. So it's a 1 mana removal. And in addition to that, it has 2 really big benefits. It's an underworld card, so it triggers Cat Bane's ability. And the other one is you can return a unit like Cloud Rider to your hand. You can and a lot of underworld units like Smuggler Starfighter, like Criminal Muscle, have an ability that do something when they enter play. So for 1 mana, you can remove something and you can gain the ability to play that unit again. Of course,
the when played ability.
Yeah, bringing back a unit to your hand is a downside, but you can play around it, and you can play in the way that it will be a benefit in some cases. So just for the versatility of the card and for the fact that 3 damage for 1 is a really big, like it's a lot of damage, is worth to having a few of them in your deck. Of course, you need to remember that you need to have underworld cards to run this card, but there is so many underworld cards in this set that it shouldn't be a big issue.
Yeah, Also, one thing that is worth to add in terms of this card is that it can attack, it can target space units. So you can bring back a ground unit and then destroy enemy ship, because 3 damage is quite a lot, and space units tend to be slightly weaker in terms of stat line.
Yeah, and while building your deck, you should always consider that you should have an answer to a space arena. You don't need to have too many ships if you have enough removal to just deal with them. Okay, so let's go for the S tier. And the first card in S tier is Jetpack. It's 2 mana, item armor. It gives 2 attack. You can attach it to a non-vehicle unit. And it has a well-played ability that it gives a shield token to that unit. And that shield token will be defeated at the end of the phase. It also has a smuggle for 4 mana.
Yep. So this is just an upgrade that is just basically pretty good because it's limited. Like the downside of the shield being destroyed at the start of the recruit phase is not that big of a deal because most of the time when you play this card, you can just attack with the unit that you attach this upgrade to and kill something. So the damage that the defender had is mitigated thanks to the shield. Also, the smuggle is pretty helpful because you can play this in the later stages of the game, primarily on your leaders. So yeah, just a really good upgrade worth being in S tier.
Yeah. The fact that you can play it on the second turn and trade up, because if you trade with a unit, the shield will disappear without the the downside of the card, it's just an extremely reliable and powerful upgrade. So next, we will have one of the, I think, strongest early game cards in the set, and it's Chain Code Collector. It's a 4 mana, 4/2 Underworld Bounty Hunter with Ambush, and also he has on-attack ability that if the defender has a bounty, it gets -4 attack for this attack. Okay, so why he is extremely powerful? As we pointed out in our previous videos, 4 mana for a 4/4 ambush unit is already a really powerful stat line.
Or 2, but yeah.
Because we have 4 Loom and the Raiders from Green Heroic. He has 2 less HP, but he has really strong ability because there is so many bounty cards and so many ways to put a bounty on the card that his ability will trigger more often than not. That if you manage to keep him alive, it may activate more than once. So it's just an extremely versatile, strong unit that you will be able to secure ground arena for a few turns if you play him. And even if you just play him as a removal to remove something, it's still a decent play on 4 resources.
Yep. He also synergizes well with leaders in this set, so he has Underworld, so that synergizes with Cat Bane. He has Ambush, so that synergizes with Boba, and also the Bounty synergy, so Bosk and Jabba works well with him.
And he's also a bounty hunter, so he synergizes with the 1-drop that deals 2 damage.
Yep.
Okay, and he also synergizes with Toro. So Toro, when you have Toro, you can play him, untap Toro, and deal 1 damage to him that is not really relevant.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and next we have another ambush card, and it's Fennec Shand. It's a 7 mana Underworld unit that has 4 attack, 6 HP. It has ambush, and it has an on-attack ability to deal 1 damage to the defender for each different cost among the cards in your discard pile. And this ability only works if you attack a unit. So it's not working on a base, but if you have, for example, 3 cards with a different cost in your discard pile, it will deal 3 damage before the attack step. So if her ability kills something, she will not regain damage. Sip, can you continue?
Yeah, so basically this card is pretty good. Like, it's the same reason as why Han Solo was good in the very first set. So ambush units are pretty good, and what makes them even stronger is the fact that she can, in some cases, kill a unit without it being to do a retaliation damage. So if you attack a unit with ambush or regularly, if you kill the defender with your own attack ability, then the defender doesn't deal damage back to Fennec, so she can just kill a lot of stuff and stay alive for a really long time. Also, since she is 7 resource play, you're very likely to have enough of cards in your discard pile in your discard pile that have different costs. So yeah, most of the time in the later stages of the game, she's gonna deal like 4 or even more damage with her own attack ability, which is enough to kill a lot of the targets.
Yeah, and it's also, as we told before, she's an underworld, so she's synergized with Cat Bane, and has ambush, so she's synergized with Boba to deal even more damage. Okay, and now we are going for the last card. For us, it's the strongest common/uncommon cunning card in the set, and it's Envy's Nest. It's a 6 mana, 5/4 underworld ambush unit, and he has a constant ability, while a friendly unit, including this one, is attacking using ambush, the defender gets -3 attack. And for me, it's an amazing card on its own, because she will most likely attack something and survive because of the -3 attack. And 5 attack is enough to kill almost like 70 to 80% of the cards in the game, or finish something. So this card will almost always be a 2-1 play. So you only use one card, your opponent will need to use 2 cards to kill her. And on top of it, this ability is constant and works for every other unit you have. And in common and uncommon, we already has 4 units with ambush. So we have Cloud Rider, we have Chaincode Collector, and we have Fennec. And with Envy's Nest, you have 4 ambush units in a low rarity in Cunning. So it will be extremely consistent to have more than one. And with all that said, and with her also being an underworld unit that synergizes with the strongest leaders, like with Cat Bane and Ambush, so with Boba, she is just an extremely powerful play, and she will end a lot of games because of this ability.
Yeah, she's also pretty good to play her with green, because in green in this set there are also a few cards that have ambush, and those are commons and uncommons. From top of my head, I can remember only 2. Like there is one that costs 4 and has 3/3 and ambush, and then another one that has 4
mana,
and
it's 4/4.
4. Yeah. So there are at least 2 of those, and I don't know if there's anything else. There's also a ship that has 7/8, but it's
there is also a 1-drop that gives ambush to any unit you have in green. So
the timely intervention. Yeah.
So and even if you don't have that many ambush units, even if she is your only ambush unit, on her own she is still very powerful.
Yeah, and for the most part, the opponent doesn't know how many ambush cards you have, so they have to respect that you can have a lot of them, and so they have to just get rid of her pretty quickly.
Yeah. Okay, so we've managed to talk about every single common and uncommon cunning card, and as you can see from the tier list, we have 9 cards in B, A, and S tier combined, and there is a 4 card that we put in S tier. So this color looks extremely powerful, because if you got Cat Bane, you can even add more cards to the higher tier. So for us, this will, at least for me, this will be one of the most powerful colors in the set. Because you have a combination of really powerful cards and really powerful leaders that can use those cards. So you should be on the lookout for to understand how to play around those cards. And the most common way the cunning work in this set is ambush and dealing damage from playing cards or doing something if you have another underworld card. So the good way to play against someone who is playing cunning will be to always try to keep their units off the board, so they will not get the combination of effects. And if you are playing cunning, you should try to consistently deal damage to the base and trying to keep your units alive.
Yeah, and also if you play against cunning, you can just try to memorize how much damage each unit with ambush has. So you know that at 4 resources there is this chain called Collector who has 4 damage. So you can just keep in mind that and maybe don't play a unit that can easily die to him. And yeah, that can save you a game 1 or more times.
You should also remember that Cloud Rider is a common, so they will probably have access to a 3 mana for a 2 mana 3/1 ambush. And sometimes you can, if it is also, of course, if it's possible, you could play around McClunky by clearing the units that your opponent have.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's all for this video. Thanks everybody, and have a great day.
See ya.